Hi. I received a question the other day that I want to respond to today. The question is, what do I do when my partner and I are in an argument and my partner shuts down? And I want to affirm that person who asked that question, because to begin with, they are acknowledging that they're having an argument. They're acknowledging that the partner is shutting down, and they're acknowledging that it's not working. And that insight is a great place to start. So I just want to affirm that. What do I do when we're having an argument and my partner shuts down? I believe that we are much like animals. I love animals. I've got a couple cats, a dog, a horse, and I see in my animals this response that I see in myself. And that is that all of us have an automatic nervous system that knows how to react when we feel threatened or afraid. So normally when we operate in life, we operate more out of our frontal cortex, this front part of our brain right up here. And that front part of our brain is a brain that is reasonable and rational and caring and compassionate and can love others and love ourselves reasonably. So that's our frontal cortex. But when we feel threatened, just like an animal, literally the blood in our brain shifts from the front part of our brain to the back part of our brain. Some people call it the amygdala or the hippocampus. And what happens in that is we feel threatened, and so we go into an automatic, unconscious reaction to that threatened feeling, which would be either a fight, flight, or freeze response. And that's just like animals. You know, you've heard the phrase deer in the headlights. You know, a deer will often just freeze. Other deers flee. You know, you look at bunnies. Sometimes bunnies will freeze for a few moments and then they will flee like heck and they will run, you know. Or you've got my cat Mittens, who looks like the sweetest, calmest frontal cortex cat, but when anybody gets near her and threatens her, she becomes a fighter. Anyway, so we all have that as well. We do that as well. So what do I do when I'm having an argument with my partner and they literally shift from the front to the back part of their brain, the blood in their brain shifts, and they go into shutdown, which is either a flight response or a freeze response, depending on the person. What do I do? So the insight that this person's bringing is, this isn't working. Now you could ask yourself, has it ever worked? Have I ever done it where we get in an argument and we work through it well, we understand each other, we come up with some possible solutions, and we move forward? So if it has worked well in the past, I want you to think about what worked well and why. What was happening in that time where it worked well? And really dissect that and think about what were we doing that worked. But if it didn't, which is really more common, and if you're used to doing it that way and it's not working and your partner shuts down, or a myriad of other responses that can happen in the amygdala, then my recommendation is that you take some time and you move apart from the conflict. And in that process, that each of you have a little time to process what's going on in me. You know, I would ask you, what's going on in you? You know, what are you thinking? Why are you thinking that way? What happened? What was their behavior? What were their words? Whatever. What are you needing? What are you feeling? All of that. And I want you to take some time to think about it. I would encourage you to either write it down or talk to somebody else that is a safe person, like your best friend, or talk to God. But I like writing it down because it gives me some perspective, seeing my words on paper. And then it gives me a chance to kind of put it out and clarify it and then come back to it a little bit later and see, oh, wow, I was kind of in my triggered place and I wasn't seeing things clearly. Oh, by the way, when we're in our amygdala, we don't see things clearly when we're in that fight, flight, or freeze. So take some time to figure out where you are. Have your partner take some time to figure out where they are. And then when you get back to your frontal cortex, which is a place that says, I want my relationship to go well, more importantly than I want to win this argument. Now, if you don't get back there, then you got to keep working on that. Because if you want to win more than you want your relationship, it's never going to go well, and you're going to be unhappy, and so are they, that you will always be a threat to them. So when you get to the point where you can go, I really want our relationship to go well more than I want to win, then I would come back to your partner and you'd say, hey, I'm in a much different place. I really want to have a great conversation with you. I want a win-win here. I care about us and I want to be close to you. And I want to have a conversation where you feel understood and cared about and known by me, and I feel understood and cared about. And if we could take turns, one at a time, so we don't get defensive. And then, in essence, we both stay in our frontal cortex, by the way. Now, if we start to get triggered again, then we might have to pause again and go, wait a minute, let's take some time, let's regroup, let's come back together, or continue on in a kind way if we can come back to that. So the only way that we can not have that triggering happen is if we stay safe with one another, that we offer safety, that we be safe with one another, that we not do any of those things that are under the belt, attacks, accusations, blames, that sort of thing, so that we can sort it through and go, okay, this happened, that I felt that way. What I really long for, want, or need in a relationship is this instead, or I really need you to understand my feelings, whatever it is. So that you get to the point where your relationship is more important than winning. And in that, you're not a threat. And that's one of the ways that you have an argument so that your partner does not shut down. If you want to hear more about that, let me know. Okay.